But it's Wednesday. It's 10:05, and you know what that means. Mr. Energy on the Mac Resource Computers hotline, former A&m and NFL DB, and swiftly becoming a fan favorite among our listeners and on TexAgs.com. Former Texas A&m and NFL DB Jordan Pugh joins us on the hotline. JP, what's up, man?
Nothing much at all. Glad to be on as usual, be able to talk to you and all the Aggie Nation. What's going on with you down there?
I hear you, brother. Now, we're on for our weekly chat. I'm fired up about it, and I know things are going well. You're about to get married. What are you, about 3 or 4 months out now?
About 4 months. We're looking at date in July. So we're trying to finalize that and get that going.
Oh, it's outstanding, man. We're excited about that. Folks are still talking about your display of knowledge, your display of passion for Aggie football last Wednesday. How much fun was that for you to sit up here for not just a 30-minute phone hit, but to come in studio, to break it all down, to have the video right in front of you, and to have 4 hours to talk Aggie football and Aggie recruiting last week?
Oh, man, I loved it. You know, you see the energy around the program, and you just love to be a part of it. You know, and being able to stay in tune with, you know, the football program, how it's growing. You see the excitement building around it, man. There's nothing but, you know, exciting to be a part of. And to have the opportunity to sit in and watch these guys, you know, watch the future impacts of the program and where this thing can go, man, I loved it.
Ronnie, they're saying some people are not hearing the audio, so whatever you need to punch back there, go ahead and do that when Jordan's on. All right, 693-1150. You can text it 229-1939. Let's talk about the Pugh Award, pushing upward, going higher. We're going to give out an award at the end of February, maybe every month. You made a post on TexAgs last night, got some real nice reaction. Tell us exactly what you're looking for with the Pugh Award.
Man, you know, when I created it, man, it's something where I want to recognize someone who's impacting lives or someone who's, you know, pushing to strive for greatness in whatever that they're doing. You know, like the whole thing behind the award is we all strive for greatness, you know, and sometimes in your journey, you know, for your personal goals or whether it's to help others, you know, you feel insignificant sometimes. You know, sometimes you feel like your impact doesn't matter. And I just want to tell everyone that everything you do, little or small, it matters in the big sense of things. And that's why I created the award. You know, that's why I give the award out to my high school to show that what you do is not overlooked. And I just want to be a part of their journey, a part of whoever's journey it is. And that's the big reason why I want to do this and why I started it.
That's great stuff. The Pugh Award, pushing upward, going higher. It's a great motto and expression. It's more than that. It's kind of something just to kind of help get you through your day and everything else. Right. And, you know, so and I guess the best way, you know, people are posting on TexAgs and things like that. We can go back and check those out. Is the best way for people to actually give you a story or nominate their friend who's doing something like this just to send you an email, Jordan?
Man, they can do it in any form that they want. If they want to post it on the forum page, that's fine, because I can check it there. On my Facebook page at Jordan Pugh 29, you know, you can send it there, or even tweet me something. You know, it's either way. I'm gonna be on all forums, all social media sites that I'm on, and you can get it to me that way, and you know, just review it, and then we'll honor whoever I feel is necessary. So.
That's great stuff. All right, 693-1150 is our phone number. You can text in at 979-229-1939. We're here with Jordan Pugh. We're working on some technical things, Jordan, but I think we're going to get it figured out here.
Okay.
Now, defensive recruiting. Obviously, it's been, you know, all things considered, I think it's been quite strong considering the fact of how poorly A&m has played the last 2 years, but they're still getting talent. It's about talent compilation and then finding the right guy to, A, develop those players with that staff, and then, B, coordinate a defense that can win on Saturday. How impressed do you think have you been the last couple of seasons with A&m's ability to recruit well on the defensive side of the ball, despite the fact that they've really turned in poor seasons defensively the last 2 years?
Well, you got to look at it. You know, recruiting-wise, man, I think we've been winning big battles in the recruiting circuit. You know, especially if you look at the class that we had coming in this season with the 2015 class. So the biggest thing that you got to look at when it comes to the season is we're young. and that young talent is going to develop into veteran talent. And that's what everybody has to understand. When you get young players coming in and you have them playing right away, you're going to get good things, but you're going to get bad things as well, because that's what comes with young players, the inconsistency.
Yeah.
When you mature as a player and you're in the system for a period of time, man, the maturation process is so great, it starts to become natural, secondhand with calls, checks, and you start to understand your responsibility more, and then it frees you up to play. Instead of thinking about what you're doing, you're just playing and reacting. And so I think, this year on the defensive side, you're going to see a change, especially with Chavis coming in, but being able to utilize the talent, but utilize a mature talent now versus the young guys that we had playing in last year.
Yeah, and how much more will it change, Jordan, on defense in terms of recruiting? How much more will it improve based on two factors? I mean, more time for Chief to evaluate. He just came in here on New Year's Day. So he basically had 1 month and 3 days, something like that, 1 month and 4 days to evaluate the guys that he could bring in that were uncommitted or maybe even committed elsewhere to try to round up this class. Oh, yeah, he also only had about 4 or 5 available slots to dole out to players across the nation. How much will just more time for Chief to evaluate who he wants to fill his defense? And then second, success on the field. Man, I think you're about to see defensive recruiting skyrocket here. You got Kyle Field, as loud as it's going to be. There's so much going for A&M right now on that side of the ball.
Right. I think with, Chief coming in, he has plenty of time, especially with spring ball coming around the corner. You get to evaluate what you have. And the thing that he has, man, he has a gold mine when it comes to young talent. And that's the thing, I think one of the biggest reasons why he took the job. When you look at what we have here, you see the recruiting cycles that we've had year after year, and then you see the young talent that was displayed on this year. You see the potential, and you see the huge impact that Chief could have on this defense. So now, in turn, the thing that helps with recruiting, though, is when you play young guys see that from high school, and they're like, man, I can go here and I can play. Because the one thing that Sumlin likes is he wants players who can play immediately. He doesn't care what age you are, what class you are. As long as you can play, you can play. And so then, in turn, man, you get Chavis to come in, and he gets to fine-tune that talent, and he gets to develop monsters. We talk about the Myles Garretts and we talk about the Armani Watts, and you got the guys like the Donovan Wilsons, the under-the-radar type guys. You get to develop those guys into monsters now, and they can fit into his scheme. So I think Chavis is coming into a gold mine, and he's going to turn his defense into the wrecking crew again.
How much would you, Jordan Pugh's with us, former A&M DB, former NFL defensive back, and still looking for work. I mean, if you're an NFL GM and you're listening right now, and I know some scout friends of mine do listen, Jordan. So if you want a guy like Jordan Pugh, he's available for hire. His phone number? No, I'm just kidding. I won't give that.
I mean, you can plug it after the show. Let's do that.
That's exactly
Email,
right.
Twitter, all that.
Email and Twitter is better than the phone number. We don't need that blowing up too much.
Right.
But absolutely, and he joins us on the Mac Resource Computers hotline. Two-part here about Chief. How much would Jordan Pugh have loved to play in John Chavis's defense? They use that Mustang package where he'll put 6 DBs in. It was the way he found a way to get Morris Claiborne, Patrick Peterson, and the Honey Badger all on the field at the same time, with all 3 of them being natural and true corners. That Mustang package put 6 DBs on the field. You played corner and safety in the National Football League and, of course, at Texas A&M. Where do you think you would have best fit in Chiefs defense, and how much would you have wanted to play in this defense?
Boy, that's a great question. Let's see. All right, well, how much do I wanted to play? I would love playing in it. When you look at LSU in the past and you see how the safeties and the corners play, I think it would have fit me perfectly, especially at free safety. If you're looking at the free safety spot, they allow you to be free to roam the field and play the ball in the air. I think that would have fit my skill set perfectly. And as far as what was the second question with Chief?
Yeah, and that was it too. Is kind of where do you think you would have best fit? Because I was wondering if maybe how he likes to use those physical corners. We're going to talk about one of those next segment in Roney Elam. Now, you didn't have Ronnie's height, but you certainly had the physicality part of that, and you played both spots. I was kind of wondering if you saw yourself in Chiefs defense more of a corner, or if you still like the idea of roaming free and playing safety.
Well, I like the idea of roaming free, but the thing that I think I could have fit in perfectly is at the nickelback position.
Yeah.
You know, when you look at the nickel's more of a corner safety mix. You're in the box. You're also out there covering guys. And, you know, you talk about the Mustang package that he had. You know, you could have fit – I think I could have fit in those two areas primarily, the nickel and the free spot. And, of course, as a defensive back, I love playing the nickel spot because you get best of both worlds.
Oh, yeah.
But it would have fit my type of play, you know, with the range but also the physicality. I like to get my hands on guys. So I think that would have been my perfect scenario in his defense.
And it's time for Two with Pugh at 10:20 each and every Wednesday. JP, former A&M and NFL DB, breaks down DBs. And we'll move up from there once we get finished with the defensive backs, but that's a nice place to start with Jordan. And, Jordan, let's start with the guy currently on campus. I think he started making a splash as the season went along. We're talking about sophomore-to-be out of Shreveport, Louisiana, and an under-the-radar recruit, kind of like your guy, Dwayne Thomas, different position. But those Louisianimals that are incredible athletes that a lot of people weren't in on, sometimes by the time they're sophomores, juniors, and seniors, they're flat beasts. What do you think about safety Donovan Wilson? What's your overall breakdown?
Well, I like Donovan. I think, you know, one of the things that hurt him was the limited playing time that he had. But when you looked at let's say the Auburn game, you know, you saw little splashes here and there in that Auburn game when he got a chance to play a little more. You know, and he was behind. I mean, you look, Armani Watson, Howard Matthews. You know, when you look at him.
Yep.
But when you see him, man, and you look, let's go back to even his high school career and his standout career that he had there. I think he had 13 interceptions in 1 year, and then you translate it to what he did last year. This guy, man, has great body control and great ball hawking skills. You know, and I think he's a guy that Chavis is going to utilize a lot because I think he's a Chavis guy. You know, you look at his size. He's 6'1", 192. You know, good range, physical. That's what makes him a Chavis guy. You know, you look at that Mustang package, he can be that nickel type, that nickel dime type guy that you can fit in that defense. Especially, you know, with the Justin Evans coming in, the Armani Watts, those type guys. You know?
Yeah, because that nickel and that 6 DB are darn near – that 6 guy's darn near an outside linebacker. He's got to cover, but he's also got to tackle. And I think Donovan Wilson he can tackle now. He doesn't have a single problem playing the run.
And that's one of the things that I like about him, because one of the things when I, you know, broke him down is I loved how good he is at the point of attack. You know, that's why I can see him being that nickel dime type guy. He can be in the box, but he can also be out of the box and play both roles. And I think that will fit. I think that'll fit the defense perfectly, especially with his skill set. And Chavis can really utilize him.
What do you think is his weakness right now? What do you think he really needs to spend a lot of time this spring and on into fall camp and throughout the summer honing in on if he's going to have a chance to compete for a starting spot or play a bunch?
Well, I think one of the two biggest weaknesses that stand out right now are playing time. You know, you can study all you want to, but you learn your best going through it and actually doing it. So I think the more and more he plays, the better and better he'll get. And I would have to say probably the biggest weakness that I see right now would probably be playing more in space. Because if you look out, you know, like I was saying earlier, how Chavis uses his DBs, he likes his DBs to play in space. That means you got to play in space with receivers, and you got to play in space when it comes to tackling. And, you know, and he's a good tackler, but really honing in that skill and being a great space player, man, he'll have, you know, his impact will be great on the defense.
Jordan Pugh's talking about A&M sophomore-to-be safety Donovan Wilson out of Shreveport, Louisiana. You know, he's going to be locked in this spring into a heated battle for one of those starting spots. You got to feel like Armani Watts has got one sealed up, just with his projection, his profile, what he did as a true freshman, what Chief could do with him moving forward. Besides that, though, they've got the top JUCO safety in Justin Evans. Do you see what kind of battle do you feel will ensue when spring football opens on March 2nd, potentially between Justin Evans and Donovan Wilson?
You know, I was thinking about that. You know, I've been thinking about that long and hard, and honestly, I don't really see a battle. And this is the reason why. I can really see 3 starting safeties, you know, because let's really look at how Chavis uses his defense. He loves the defensive backs. You know, He loves the corners and he loves the safeties. And so when you really look at the packages that he has, you know, like we referenced the Mustang package, he can use those multiple safeties, and really those safeties will be starters, because they'll play more than 80% of the snaps during the game. You know, so when you look at say the Justin Evans and you know Armani Watts, then you got Donovan. I think that's a 3-safety package that can be used in a starting role for a game. So I think the battle between those two will be who can perform better, and that's a good battle to have.
Yeah, it is. I mean, one's got SEC experience, albeit 1 year, and is still raw,
Right.
and then one has only done it at the JUCO level, although he's as good as anybody in the country at the JUCO level.
Right.
How do you think they would break down it? Let's just say there's only 2 spots, right? And they love the linebackers, and they can't pull one of them off the field. I mean, we don't know that, but let's say Alaka's so good and Walker's so good, and we'll pick somebody else, Claude George or Sean Washington or A.J. Hilliard, and they don't want to give up a linebacker to go nickel all the time or play 3 safeties. So let's say there's 2 spots to be had. Who best projects as free and who best projects as strong among that 3-man group?
That's a good question. I think the free would have to be Armani Watt.
Yep.
Because the only hiccup I have with Armani is his tackling ability. And if you're a strong safety, you're down more in the box. So you got to be more involved with the run.
Mm-hmm.
I think Armani would fit more in free and let his range take over because he has great range. Now, when you look at Evans and you look at Wilson, that's going to be an intriguing battle. If I had to choose, as of right now, I would say Justin Evans.
There you go.
Just based off the film that I've seen, based off what I've seen with Wilson. Because Evans, he may have been a JUCO guy, but he still has that different maturation over Wilson. Wilson's still young, and he can still learn from Evans. When you see Evans, you see the range, you see the space play, and you see the tackling ability. So I think if you had to choose one spot between the two of them, I'd give it to Evans.
Well, next week we're going to really break down Justin Evans. So there's a look at Donovan Wilson. Now let's look at 2015 cornerback. And we did get a chance to talk about him, but let's spend 3 or 4 minutes last week. Let's spend a little more time talking about cornerback, 6'2", 6'3", long, lean cornerback from Newton, Roney Elam. Give us your breakdown on Roney, JP.
Well, it's like you said, you got the tall 6'3" frame. But here's the great equalizer, is the long arms. One of the things that receivers hate the most is they hate DBs with long arms, especially in press situations, because it's easy to get hands on those guys. So he possesses that. High school career, 16 total interceptions. He's a great tackler. That's another big thing that I like about Elam is his tackling ability. 192 career tackles in high school at corner. That's huge. And then here's something that may be a hidden factor that most people aren't really talking about. Is he had 5 block kicks in high school. So that's it's not very big on the sexy scale, I guess you could say.
Yep.
But that takes points away from another team. And that shows his athletic ability. Always around the ball, very aggressive. This is the Chavis type guy. That's who he wants. He wants those long, tall guys who are rangy, who are very athletic. Almost like a Richard Sherman type build, because Sherman's about 6'3", same kind of frame, and I think that's the trend that's starting to happen is teams want these big corners. These big corners to compete with these big wide receivers, and that's who exactly Chavis is getting for his defense.
Do you feel over 4 years he'll stay at corner, or will he grow his way into a safety?
I think he'll stay at corner. When you watch him, he has corner feet and corner hips, so you can't move somebody with the athletic ability that he has to a safety spot when you can get somebody that big and who can play out there on that island like that.
Do you think Go ahead.
When you see how he plays, man, you want to utilize his ability out there with that one-on-one matchup with a receiver.
Do you think he plays as a freshman? Maybe not start, but plays?
I think he plays, yes. Especially when you're looking at one of the biggest weaknesses that we have is the corner spot on the defensive side. We got to find somebody to step in. And, I think he'll play. You look at the 6 DB package Mustang, he can even come in at nickel situations and just play that outside receiver. And so I can see him working his way through there in the defense, and it's something that Chavis can utilize.
Jordan Pugh's with us, former A&M and NFL defensive back. He joins us every Wednesday in the 10 o'clock hour. A couple minutes left. The one thing, what's the hardest aspect of playing the cornerback position out there on the island as a true freshman in the SEC? Whether you start or play snaps, sort of like maybe a Nick Harvey did or somebody like that. What's the hardest thing? Is it the mental side of it, or is it the physical part of it?
I would say the mental side. If they have you out there playing, physically you can handle it. You know, the mental side is probably the hardest part. You know, people always say the quarterback is the hardest position on the field. They are lying. The defensive back is the hardest position on the field because, you know, you have to read, you have to react. You have a receiver in space who knows exactly where he's going, and you have to be able to react to what he's doing. You know, and when you look at it, I think the biggest adjustment that any DB will have to make coming from that high school and playing as a freshman is you have to make that mental adjustment. You know, high school, a lot of the times you're just physically better than those guys. But then when you get to the college level, you know, guys can do what you can do. So the mental edge will be the biggest adjustment I think a guy like Elam would have to make.
693-1150 on the phones. You can text to 229-1939. All right, about 1, maybe 2 minutes left, and let's get a mailbag in. We're here with Jordan Pugh. You can answer these quick hitting if you want. This is from another Angry Ag. I say calm down, Angry Ag. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. Listen to Jordan Pugh a little more, and you won't be angry. Here's the question. What did it feel like to intercept a Peyton Manning pass, Jordan?
Man, it felt great. You know, it's kind of a funny story behind that. I got cut the week before.
Yep.
Then I was out for that 1 week. They brought me back. You know, it's a whole long story I can get into later. And so, you know, I came in and got the chance to play against Denver. And getting that pick, first off, you getting a pick off a guy I grew up watching and a future Hall of Famer. But then the situation in the game made it even better. But the feeling, man, it's a feeling you can't even describe. I got the ball sitting in my office at the house right now. You know, it feels good. And to be able to have that on your resume is something that you can live with for forever, man. You can, you know, I can tell my kids about that. Like, hey, man, I got one off this guy. And the feeling, man, is indescribable. That's
unbelievable. I guarantee you, you're probably the only guy that's joined our program that's intercepted maybe one of the greatest quarterbacks ever. And aren't you glad that you didn't curse, the receiver for, what's his first name, Jermaine Kearse? You didn't Jermaine Kearse that thing into the 30th row like he did when they beat the Green Bay Packers, and you actually held on to that football. Aren't you glad you didn't do something you would have regretted?
Every time I get a hold of that football, it's coming home with me.
Yes.
I'm with you. I can't throw the ball, man. Those are too precious for me.
You take the Emmitt Smith approach. He's got every one of his touchdowns in the NFL.
Yep, every single one.
Final question. Why? And this is from Phi Aggie. Why don't you think more former Division I college football players don't go into coaching?
Oh, that's an interesting question. I've never been asked that. Let's see. Going to coaching. Well, I think that one of the biggest things is a lot of it is you may just be burnt out.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because, man, if you really think about it, you know, as a student athlete, you know, you class in this football, off season, class football, workout. And by the time, you know, you get done with it, it's like, man, let me do something else. Let me free my time up more. And I think a lot of times people just get burnt out. They still love the game, but they know the commitment that comes with it. And so I think that's a lot of the reason why people don't go into it.
Jordan, I can't tell you how much we appreciate the time, man. And we, of course, keep inviting people to push upward and go higher and everything else you're doing. So JordanPugh29.com is a good place to start for all of that and everything that Jordan Pugh's doing. He does motivational speaking and all that good stuff. So if you need a speaker, he's going to be doing muster based on a listener who invited him to do that this year, and all good things are happening. JP, always appreciate the time, brother. We'll talk to you next week.
All right, then. I appreciate it. Keep pushing upward and going higher.
Amen, brother. All right, Jordan Pugh.